We are back here on the show to talk about the last segment on today's episode. The Green Bay Packers, not to rain on their parade, but there is something about this team that just gives me a little bit cause to pause on really putting them up there with the 49ers, with the Eagles, with the Lions. It's that offensive line. It's that offensive line that I think is good. I want to buy into it, but there's definitely some concerns. Not so much with the talent, but more so with the depth that I have to rely upon if some injuries happen, which most likely they will happen in an NFL football season. Once they happen, are they going to just fall apart? Is this offensive line going to look different? Talent-wise, like I mentioned, in combination with this scheme that Matt LaFleur has for the Packers and all their offensive weapons and Jordan Love getting better, Green Bay can certainly compete to win that division especially, and also to compete in the NFC conference. But the offensive line is something that I'm like 60-40 on right now. It is definitely a major concern for me, or at least a slight concern if I just said 60-40. But Pro Football Focus ranked some of the offensive lines in the NFL, and they had Green Bay's as the worst offensive line in the NFC North. They ranked them at 14 in the NFL. The Minnesota Vikings were just ahead of them at 13th. The Chicago Bears offensive line was ranked at 11, and the Detroit Lions offensive line was the first. They ranked them number 1 in the NFL, and it's hard to argue against that, but the Packers were ranked last in that division. And where the doubts stem with this offensive line and what could be a problem as we get later into the year against tougher competition, it gets a little bit tighter, there's a little bit more pressure. Will this offensive line still be whole and healthy heading into some of the more important games? Some of the doubts are Elton Jenkins' health concerns. He's probably their best offensive lineman, but he has been dealing with some injuries last year and going on to years prior to that. Those are the major concerns with him, but other than that, he is the most reliable and most talented offensive lineman that they have, but it's just a case of having him on the field to contribute to the team. And also, they lost a starter in Jon Runyan, another very good, experienced offensive lineman, to solidify this unit, but he signed with the New York Giants this offseason as a free agent, so now you have to replace him and his experience. Then also, you have inconsistent performances from the projected left tackle, Rasheed Walker. I think he did all right, but at some points, you definitely got a little concerned, especially if he is going to start for them, protecting Jordan Love's blind side. I don't think you can put 100% of your confidence in Rasheed Walker. And also on the other side now, the right tackle, Zach Tom, has again shown flashes, has shown a lot of potential, a high ceiling, but again, it comes with learning. There are some hiccups in his game that he does have to iron out, and he is going to be the starter, so whether or not he has developed that much into this next year on that offensive line is going to be something to watch. Then you have center Josh Myers. I think he has just overall not been the most solid center in the NFL, especially when you're comparing him to these other offensive linemen. The center, as the name entails, is at the center of everything. He is usually calling out coverages, changing coverages, calling out alignments on the defensive line, that sort of thing. And also just his pass protection. I think he might be just a little bit too small. I don't want to throw some shade out there to Josh Myers, but it seems like he struggles with bigger defensive linemen in some cases, just getting overpowered. So that's something to watch out there. And also, you got a new offensive guard in there, Sean Ryan, to replace Jon Runyan, getting the likely start this year, which will be his first time start in the NFL. So a new guy coming in to fill the void of a guy that you had so much expectation for, just reliability that Jon Runyan brought. Now you bring in a new guy, and what are the expectations going to be for him? They're going to be high, but at the same point, what can we realistically expect from Sean Ryan to protect Jordan Love and have him not be under duress each and every snap of the ball? And then you have a bigger problem on your hands because you're talking about injuring your starting quarterback. And also after that, just overall the depth with this offensive line is the biggest issue with me. After they lost David Bakhtiari, they did draft a Jordan Morgan, but I would have liked to keep both of them on this offensive line just in case one or two offensive linemen get hurt. You don't want to see it, but it's very unlikely that you have the exact same offensive lineman in week 1 that you do in week 18 and have all of them play every game. It usually doesn't happen, and that's why you build your offensive line a lot outside of the starting 5. And I just have questions about who those guys are in case Elton Jenkins gets hurt again potentially. Rasheed Walker at such an important position at left tackle. You drafted Jordan Morgan to play either tackle position, but is he going to be ready in case Rasheed Walker gets hurt? Do you want to have a rookie that hasn't played at all season to just jump in there and protect Jordan Love's blind side? That's just something that they really have to take into consideration before they really just not address the offensive line anymore. Then you look overall, just if they stay healthy, and most of them do play the entire regular season, overall they're still around the middle of the pack. I would probably rank them around the same that Pro Football Focus did rank them, but I would say just the fear of getting injured to one or multiple of these guys could be a plague later on in the year, playing against better teams as well. They have the 4th hardest schedule this year, so they're going to face some great defenses, some tough defensive linemen, some very good edge rushers. And with that, is this offensive line going to hold up? Could you trust them in some of those games, in some of the most important games? You want to say that you can because they were successful, at least most of these guys last year, on how successful overall the Packers were and how efficient their offense was. But again, it only takes one or a couple injuries to just really crumble all of that and have Jordan Love running for his life back there, making ill-advised throws, making wrong reads. Not what you want to see, especially with Jordan Love being in this group of wanting to get paid. If you contribute a lot of money to Jordan Love and invest a lot of money in him, the last thing any Packers fan and any Packers organizational member, Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, the last thing they want to see is Jordan Love get hurt, especially if they give him a bag this offseason and then he gets hurt. Depending on the significance of it, it could be a complete disaster, a nightmare if they don't shore up this offensive line. You have options out there. Connor Williams remains probably the best offensive lineman out there. He has been dealing with a very severe knee injury, but his agent, his team have said that he is ready, is going to be ready for training camp, and whoever does sign him, he'll be ready to participate. So if the Packers can add him or maybe somebody up to his level, I don't have the other free agent offensive lineman on hand, but if they could add him alongside Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, Rasheed Walker, and Zach Tom, and maybe not start Sean Ryan right away in his first start in the as he started in the NFL, it could shore up this offensive line some more. Connor Williams is still at a good age. I think he's only 27 or 28, so he can contribute right away. He played a massive part in the Dolphins' offensive line last year, even though he got hurt. I think adding someone like him could be great for this team for depth purposes and also just talent-wise as well, with how much he could improve them just overall. You're not just getting a piece to be safe if somebody gets hurt. He's going to improve this offensive line as well. Again, it won't be because of the play of this line, really just the depth and me worrying that one of them getting hurt could look very bad for this offense, because there is a lot of expectations on the Packers. Everybody expects them to be exciting again, build on last year. Heading into the second year, it's a lot harder to do that, and now teams will be ready for it. The last thing you need is your quarterback not being comfortable at all and just not really being helpless, just being helpless back there behind an offensive line that can't really do too much compared to last year. But that's how I'm feeling, a little bit nervous about it, and it would be a shame if they couldn't compete to the level that they can, because everybody is dealing with the repercussions of having an injured offensive lineman. I hate it. I hate when it happens to my favorite team in the Steelers, but it is a risk that they're running if they don't add some more depth to that position. But that will do it for this episode. That'll do it for this segment, obviously, as well. I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to the show, as well as following the network on all forms of social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. If you want to see more of this show, check out both YouTube channels, the GSMC Podcast Network channel and the GSMC Sports Network channel, to check out different forms of content around the NFL on this show, and with me as well. As a last reminder, tune in every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for more discussions and conversations around the NFL with me, Manny Maradiaga, as your host. Thanking you for joining me on today's episode, and hopefully you guys have an awesome 4th of July and enjoy the rest of your night as well.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to